the war is not over, and we have miles to go before we sleep. Keep up the fight. Thank you, everyone who pulled this together. Thank you to everyone who's been here. Thank you to those who have gone before, those who are here now. I served with your father. It's great to see it carrying on. Great to see folks putting their heart in the hearts of our children. Keep it up. Don't let off with one victory. Let's keep the march going forward. Let's keep moving. And let's hope that next year we're celebrating yet another milestone in protecting the life that God gave us.
There's another legislator who is a hero for life that you never, ever have to ask twice. You never have to, in fact, you don't even need to ask him. Representative Tim Derrickson is a guy whose heart beats for life. It's great that there's actually, I hear there's a vacancy over in the Senate, and I really can't think of a better way to fill it than with someone who's a courageous warrior for life. And we maybe I'm speaking prophetically, maybe it's wishful thinking, but I'd like to see it. I'd like to introduce to you, not Representative, but perhaps Senator Tim Derrickson to speak to us today.
Well, it is Representative Derrickson. The heartbeat bill, I didn't prepare comments, but I appreciate you being here and I appreciate the bill. I wanted to just briefly share, when the bill was introduced, you know, we all wear different hats, all of us, and me included. And as a legislator, when the bill was introduced, I was excited about the possibility of where this can take us. And I mean, it's been a long time coming, this particular bill. But you look at all aspects of all impact and who it impacts. And the greatest impact is obviously life. And what's more vital and more important than that. But as a legislator, you're charged with looking at both sides of the argument, and that's your job. You have to look at it all. And I do. But when it came down to being asked to do, will you co-sponsor the bill or not, laying everything aside, it comes down to your core beliefs and who you really are. And if you love the Lord and you love life, you put your name on a bill like the heartbeat bill because it's the right thing to do. And that's where a lot of us who did sign on, that's what it came down to, is what is most important with our life than protecting others. So again, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate this bill, and God bless you all. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator. Hey, Matt, would you like to say a few words? Yeah, you want to say something for life? This is a guy that says, he's the only one that I know that got pulled out of committee. He says, I'm coming out of committee because I care about life so much. I actually want to sign on this bill. I want to be a part of life. You might just be passing through, but I can't think of no better way that we could be honored than a few words from you. He's in leadership, and that's very, very fitting. Representative Matt Huffman, thank you.
Thank you very much. This is great, and wow, you got a couple of great soldiers working on this program, don't you? You guys are fantastic. They asked me about this, and when I first heard the name of the bill, in 1973, my mom, along with two other ladies, started an organization called Heartbeat of Lima, which some of you may have heard of. I know the people from Hancock County know all about that. And so first thing I thought of was, wow, we're going to get more money for Heartbeat in Lima. This is wonderful. But it turned out to be something that is, of course, near and dear to the hearts of the folks in Allen County. It's a very strong pro-life movement. Susie Stechely, who many of you know, was the president of Ohio Right to Life for many years, and her husband Jack was my pediatrician, so he got to know me very well growing up, all those football physicals. But I want you to know that good things generally in the world don't just happen. Especially when it comes to this building in this place. It happens because you have people who care enough to push the issue along and push some legislators to the point of discomfort. And that's okay. You know, we get paid to come here and make decisions, and sometimes the decisions are uncomfortable. Not for me, not for Tim Derrickson and some of the other real soldiers in this movement, but for other folks. So I want to thank your leaders, and I want to thank everybody for coming out here today. And please don't stop fighting. That's my message for today. Thanks.
Thank you. I hear that the pro-aborts are starting their death march, heading over to try and rally for baby killing. I just think we just need to let them hear that we're here. And I remember I was at a youth rally till somebody pulled me aside and said, "Janet, you're not a youth anymore." And I did a life cheer. And it's kind of embarrassing because with all the cameras pointing at me, I was in college, all the cameras pointing at me, I said, "Give me an L." I said, "Give me an I." And I got distracted by all the media that showed up there to tell us that how few people, that they wanted to do a division on the crowd size. And I said, "Give me an E." And I realized I asked the crowd to give me a lie. And so at the moment I said, "What do the pro-aborts do?" And the answer was lie. And so let's actually give a life cheer just for old time's sake. What do you say? Let's let them hear us as they make their death march forward, because Ohio stands for life. Give me an L. Give me an I. Give me an F. Give me an E. What does it spell? What's Ohio going to stand for? What do you want the legislators to vote for? Amen. Amen. Speaking of youth, we have someone who said, "I want to help you with the heartbeat bill." And she says, "Janet, you're acting like you don't know me." She says, "I actually shadowed you." Her grandfather was the editor of the Ohio Right to Life News. I worked with him many times over the years, and he says, "You're not going to shadow some hairdresser." "Oh no, you don't. I want you shadowing Janet Folger." And so now it is 20 years later, or however long it is. She reminds me she's 20 years younger than me, which I don't really appreciate, but we do appreciate her. Caitlin Evans, she's probably sent you an email, or about 10 or 20 about this event. Welcome, Caitlin Evans, for us, will you?
Thank you so much, everyone. When I was 19 years old, I became an EMT because I wanted to be able to save lives. I wanted the knowledge to be able to help people when they needed it most. When I was 19 years old, I became a Marine, a United States Marine, because I wanted to be able to protect and defend freedom all across the world. Then when I was 23, I became a firefighter because I wanted to, again, save lives. I soon pursued a bachelor's degree in political science because I realized that we can save lives through the political efforts. Next thing I knew, I was Janet's grassroots coordinator for HB 125. I'm the one that sends you emails, that asks you for your time, asks you to volunteer, sends you to phone banks, and those emails are going to keep coming. So make sure that if you're not getting them, you get your contact information on our tablets over here at the table. And also remember that all this work, all this effort, somebody's paying for it. It costs a lot of money. If there's anything you can do to help us with a donation, we would greatly appreciate it. I want to leave you with one thing, why this bill motivates me to continue the fight since I was 6 years old holding signs on Broad Street with my mom. They talk about challenging Roe versus Wade and overturning Roe versus Wade, and probably for at least the last 10 years, I've always wondered what's going to happen, what's going to change, what is it that's going to trigger us to be able to challenge and overturn Roe versus Wade. And Gregory Roden, who's a very intelligent attorney, pointed out that in the 2007 ruling by the Supreme Court on partial birth abortion, there was a shift in language from always referring to the unborn baby, to the preborn baby as potential life. They finally started saying that that's a living fetus, and what they used to justify that as a living fetus was a detectable heartbeat. Well, guess what? That's the language in HB 125, and this is something that's going to give the Supreme Court a reason to review their decision in Roe versus Wade. So take that home, spread the word, give me your email, and let's keep this going.
Amen. Thank you, Caitlin. We've got another courageous speaker who was there at the testimony. She says, I don't care what a couple of people who are opposing me say. I'm going to come and I'm going to stand for life, and to do so with such great force that she is heard. Her voice is being heard, and we are grateful for her voice for life. Miss Julie Busby, Mrs. Busby, come forward. We're grateful for your stand.
Never give in. Never, 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 never. In nothing great or small, large or petty. Never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force. Never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy. These were the words of Winston Churchill to his people of his nation in 1941. The year prior, they had watched as Hitler and his forces smashed across border after border into Europe. France had just surrendered, and now Britain stood desperately alone, trying to defend Europe. In the fall of 1940, Hitler had made a decision to attack London in hopes of demoralizing the people and bringing Britain to its knees with relentless attacks. On the 7th of September, Hitler sent in over 900 bombers and fighters to attack London. They continued to fire down until 6 o'clock that evening. 2 hours later, with fires ablaze throughout the city, another assault came until 4:30 the next morning. For the next 57 days, London was either bombed every night or every day. Many British sought protection underground. Fires blazed throughout the city. They consumed many portions of it. On one particular day, 450 people died as a bomb came down on a school that was being used as a shelter from an air raid. To the world, it appeared that Britain had lost all hope, and Europe was one step away from being completely conquered, therefore making way for Hitler to begin world domination. These were indeed dark days for the British people. They were certainly weary, but not yet broken. They continued fighting, however, and Winston Churchill continued to encourage the people to not give up. About a year after the raids began, in May of 1941, Hitler pulled out his troops to invade what he thought was a more conquerable country, Russia. By 1945, over 80% of the casualties were on the British and Allied side. To the natural eye, it would appear with 4 times the casualties of your enemy that you were on the losing side. However, this same year, the enemy surrendered and Britain and its allies won the war. In the same speech in 1941, during some of Britain's darkest days, Winston Churchill said this: "You cannot tell from appearances how things will go. Sometimes imagination makes things out far worse than what they are." When the raids on London began, it appeared to many that Europe was one step away from being completely conquered. However, in actuality, by turning the raids on London, this gave a group of weary British pilots a much-needed reprieve and gave them the opportunity to repair some of their damaged airstrips. Some in history even claim that the day Hitler attacked London was the day he actually lost the war. So what appeared to be a loss of hope was actually a ray of light and the beginning of the end of the war. It was a turning point in their victory. And that is why we must walk by faith and not by sight. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. There are many of you here today who are battle weary. You've been in this battle for a long time, and sometimes it feels like the attacks just keep coming and coming and coming, and you feel like giving up. But keep in mind, the enemy always attacks hardest when he's about to lose ground. And I'm here to tell you that just like the tide shifted with the perseverance of the weary British, so too is the tide about to shift today. We don't get our might and our power from numbers. We get our power in perseverance and our resolve, and that is how we will win. Evil might reign for a while, but righteousness always prevails. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. We stand here today in support of life. We are the fighting force that pushes back against this culture of death that wishes to sweep across our nation. And just like those British pilots who were outnumbered 4-1, sometimes it feels like we're fighting against an insurmountable force. But again, I say the tide is turning. Our allies are coming. We will stand, and we will continue to stand. And just like the pilots who went out day after day and night after night to defend their country, we will go out day after day and night after night to defend righteousness until righteousness prevails and the innocent are given the freedom of life. This is our moment. We will stand. We will defend. We won't back down, we won't give up, and we will win this battle.
I want to make sure that before we've got a couple more people that you're going to want to hear. So stick around. We've got also some sign-up sheets. I'll tell you this: you don't want to miss the historic vote. And if you're on that sheet, we'll make sure you get an email so that you can be sitting in the balcony when the vote takes place. One of the things that Julie mentioned about the power comes from God. It's the prayer that is fueling this movement. We are actually, we have a prayer call every morning at 7 in the morning. I'm going to ask you, if you care about life, to actually consider to join with us in some way in high-octane prayer. That's fasting. It may not be that fun, but it's that powerful. And we've seen, as Barry Sheets, you and I have been talking about, he says, I've never had more fun lobbying anything, because we see the sea part every single week. There's a miraculous move by the hand of God, and it's powered by prayer, and we sure would love it if you would join us. One of the women of prayer who has been a voice for righteousness is someone who knows the pain of abortion. She is somebody who actually had the courage to speak before the legislature, to talk about the pain that she has undergone at the abortionist knife, and reaching out with the hope and the healing and the forgiveness that's found in Jesus Christ. We welcome Rochelle Heidebach, who is not only come and lobbying with us right alongside, talking to legislators, where they're literally, the aides are crying as she speaks, while her husband, Scott, is working the phone banks. It is quite a team, a dynamic duo. We're grateful for both of you.
Hello, I stand before you today. I'm not a speaker, but I am a mother. I'm one of the million mothers who regret their choice. And I have to stand here and tell you that had abortion not been legal, I never would have made that choice. The moment you know that you're pregnant, you know there's life inside of you. There's no denying it. Nothing that the lies that are spoken to us. There's one truth, and it's God's truth. I made that choice. I've regretted that choice ever since. It is a evil that overcomes you. It is evil and death. That's the real words for abortion. Those are the only words that can be spoken about abortion, because that is the truth. But I do stand before you as a beacon of hope, and I ask you to pray for every woman who has made that wrong choice. I ask you to pray for her heart, their hearts. I ask for you to give them the courage to stand up and to be a voice, because with them and you praying for them, their hearts can be healed also, and they need a lot of healing, and only our Father in heaven and Jesus Christ can heal such pain and suffering that overcomes any woman who's made that choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Rochelle. A voice of courage. Another voice of courage is one that is joined with I don't know how many tens of thousands of members. She'll tell us. She is what is your title now? President? Director. She's the head. She's like the most concerned women of all. And she is with Concerned Women for America. She has brought in National President Wendy Wright to come and testify. She's been in the trenches. She has been there on the prayer line. She was there in the atrium. One of the reporters stopped by and said, I was going to get a comment from you, but I saw you guys were all praying. And when you're in desperate times, you don't care if people see you. You don't care if you're on your knees and someone might see it, because we need God who's going to deliver this victory to us. And I expect that he will as we persevere for him. Bobby Raddick from Concerned Women for America, we're grateful for you. Thank you for your stand.
Thank you so much for staying here. I am the state director for Concerned Women for America, and we have organizations throughout the United States, and we have 500,000 members throughout the United States and 24,000 in Ohio. But most importantly, I stand before you because I am an adopted individual. I was, by all means of definition, an illegitimate child. I was number 2 of 5 and the only one given away. But God gave me the opportunity and the ability to have a plan and a purpose and a direction that He sought out for me. And I want that for all children, all the born, and that's why we are so excited to be here and to support HB 125. I think right now we can use Ecclesiastes as there is a season for everything, and I believe that HB 125 is its season. And I hope that you will continue to pray and talk to the people in your sphere of influence and make sure that you make a difference just in your community, because it all adds up. I just want to leave this with you, that there's never a wrong time to do the right thing. And thank you so much for being here. God bless America, Ohio, and HB 125.
See, Linda Harvey is here with us. How many people listen to Mission America on WRFD? We're grateful for your leadership. Thank you for your support, Linda. Jane Huffman, also from Cincinnati, on the Pregnancy Center, been involved in the movement as long as I have, and that's a really long time. We're grateful that you're here, and maybe even longer. I don't know. It's just, we're glad that you've joined us. We also have another friend of mine for life, and we're grateful that Mark Harrington has started a new group called Created Equal. What a fitting name, and what a remarkable leader. Mark, we're grateful that you're here. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for joining us, and say a few words, won't you?
God bless you. Well, Janet will know that I'm into visuals. Everybody else here probably knows that. We use visuals in our ministry. And I couldn't help but be struck by the visual that was over here earlier. I don't know where the woman who had the sign that said, "Life is precious." Life is precious. And it had a picture of a preborn baby. And I thought to myself, why is life precious? Why is it precious? Is that just a nice slogan that we like to throw out there? Life's precious because we're created equal. We're created equal. We're endowed by our Creator. Life's precious because we have a Creator. If we leave Him out of that equation, none of this matters. We have a Creator, God. And He said that we are made in the image of God. We can't forget that part of this. And our founders understood that when they wrote the Declaration of Independence. This is a founding principle, that we're all created equal. Created equal also speaks of equality. You know, equality is tossed about for all kinds of things today, for things that really don't mean equality. But rarely is it brought to bear on the question of abortion. Equality means equal rights for the born and the preborn. Abortion is nothing more than age discrimination. That's all it is. If you distill it down to its basic foundation, the argument rests on that. We don't discriminate based on the color of our skin, and we don't discriminate based on whether we're born or preborn. And Dr. King understood this in the Civil Rights battle when he stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in 1963. He cast forward the founder's dream when he said, "I have a dream that one day this nation will live out its creed, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among those are the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Dr. King understood the American creed, that we are created equal, and we deserve equal rights. Now, Dr. King also understood what it was like to stand against the culture. There were those in his movement that said, "Dr. King, it's not time to bring racial justice to African Americans." They said, "It's not time, Dr. King. Your effort is untimely," they said. And Dr. King said this, and I want to close with a comment from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. for those out there that think that the time's not right, that it's not time to do good. It's not time because the court isn't right. I don't know about you, but I don't have a crystal ball. Do you? I can't project into the future. I can't see. I know it's always time to do right. It's always time to do right. Dr. King said this when he was addressing his detractors, those who disagreed with him in his movement. He said this as he responded to the question of untimeliness. Quote, and this is from the letter from the Birmingham jail. We know that through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Frankly, I've yet to see a direct action campaign that was well timed, he said. For years now, I've heard the word wait. Wait. We hear the words wait, don't we? I've heard the words wait. It rings in the ear of every Negro with piercing familiarity. This word wait almost always means what? Never. Never. And that justice too long delayed is justice denied. The word wait rings in the ears of every preborn child in America. And the time is now to do what's right. The time is now to pass this legislation. The time is now to bring this to the House floor for a vote. The time is now to move this over to the Senate. The time is now for the governor to take a position. Its time is now. Justice too long delayed is justice denied. So Janet, thank you for everything you've done. Everyone else, the Heartbeat Bill, lobby, be here, pray. We can do this, we can get this done. We don't have a crystal ball. In the words of Dr. King, wait almost always means never. We've waited long enough. Thank you and God bless you.
Time is now. Well said, Mark. There is somebody who heads up the largest Right to Life chapter in the state of Ohio, of Cincinnati Right to Life, but you wouldn't think so. She's very, very small in stature. She's very unassuming. Don't take that to mean a lack of power, strength, courage, and determination. Paula Westwood, one of the heroes of the pro-life movement. We're grateful for your stand. We're grateful for your leadership.
That's Cincinnati talking. We brought several cars, and Cincinnati is behind the Heartbeat Bill. I know that there are lots of people back home that couldn't come. My husband's one. He said, why do they do it on a Tuesday when I have to be at work? I said, that's when the legislature's in session. They're working too. I'm the director of Right to Life of Greater Cincinnati. It's the birthplace of the Ohio Right to Life state organization before it was moved to Columbus in the 70s. If you look on the board, we've got the majority of Right to Life organizations across the state in support of the Heartbeat Bill. I brought with me a current board member, Mary Clark, who's on the board of Ohio Right to Life, along with Julie Busby, former Ohio Right to Life board member and trustee at large, Joan Lubker. This state is behind the Heartbeat Bill. I don't know if you all heard the international news that the little country of Hungary, a former communist country, has passed a new constitution replacing the 1949 constitution that was Stalinist. They're coming under fire because in it is Article 2 that establishes the right to life from every person at conception. This is a former communist country. Do you think they're getting away with it? No, the Council on Europe is sending the Venice Commission to look at them and examine how the Constitution was ratified and prepare a report. But you know what the legislators are doing? This is the legislators of the country. They have just initiated a pro-life ad campaign in Hungary to emphasize the humanity of the unborn child. This is a country that was formerly communist, and their government is spearheading the Right to Life movement. We live in a country where democracy was birthed and we're killing our babies. This cannot be. The legislators here today are the real deal. And they're making history in my heart, and I think they'll make history in this nation as Ohio passes the Heartbeat Bill. We want every baby saved from conception, but this bill is the best beginning because it saves 95%. We can go back and get the rest. I appreciate your support. For all the people that aren't here, go back and tell them. Let's have a groundswell of support and bring this to a vote. Thank you.
Amen. Paula Westwood, we're grateful for you. If only we had some, I don't know, some means of pursuing principled policy. If only we could have legislators that want to defend life and liberty and the family and principled policy. If there was like an institute for something like that. I want to introduce to you the director of the Institute for Principled Policy, a guy who's been there in the beginning. He was there as a staffer in the legislature when we passed the nation's first partial birth abortion ban. He is now giving us a lot of very sound and good advice, such as, hey, Barry, do you have to have half the committee members vote even if they're not present? He says absolutely, which means we had to remove a member of the committee before we could actually get the vote in the committee, and we're grateful for the leadership, the wisdom, and the knowledge, and the principled policy from Mr. Barry Sheets. We're grateful. Barry.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank each of you for being here today and for being here throughout the entire afternoon. We've heard a lot from many of our elected officials, from our community leaders, but there's one that we've not heard from yet. And I want to turn to God in His Word. And I believe that this particular psalm today is fitting for what we're doing here today, what's happening on the other side of this building today, and the choice that has been put before us this day, whether we choose life or we choose death. As we were driving up today, my son, as I was driving, opened the Bible and he read this psalm today. And as I was thinking, okay, what am I going to say? What words am I going to use? And God spoke and said, don't use your words, use mine. And so, from Psalm 10, why standest thou far off, O Lord, and hidest thee in due time, even in affliction? The wicked with pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the crafts that they have imagined. For the wicked hath made boast of his own heart's desire, and the covetous blesses himself, he contemns the Lord. The wicked is so proud that he seeketh not for God. He thinketh always there is no God.